You're listening to Small Business Talk with Jerry. Sit in on great conversations with entrepreneurs who risk everything chasing the American dream.
Here we go. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Do you tune into podcasts? I don't even... Whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's go with that. Thanks for tuning in. Small Business Talk with Jerry. I'm Jerry. Got a couple great guests tonight. Jeremiah, Nate, both small business owners here, Southern Minnesota, Rochester, and Globe Life's not really out of Rochester.
No, Globe Life is over in Cleveland, Ohio, with offices down in McKinney, Texas.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So big company.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, again, Small Business Talk with Jerry, Jeremiah, Nate. Let these guys introduce themselves and their businesses, talk a little bit about them. Let's start with Jeremiah. Tell us a little about you.
Okay. I'm a dad of 5, married, actually run 2 businesses. The first one I've been doing for 9 years, independent agent for Family Heritage Division of Globe Life. I think I got to put that on there because I am not Globe Life.
Sure,
you
right.
know, I represent them
Right.
with supplemental benefits for cancer, accidents, heart, things like that. And then in March, my wife and I purchased the Family Fun Center here in Rochester. So
Awesome.
Diversified a little bit. Went from
That's been around a long time too.
yeah, 60 years for DNR Star. Family Fun Center is the retail portion. It's over 30. I don't know if it's 40 or not, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been around a long time.
Awesome. Nate, how about you? A little bit about you.
Yeah, married, 2 kids. Always had the dream of having a business, and now 3 years in, not sure if it's the right decision still, but we learn every day.
Well, that's awesome. That's what this whole podcast is about. We want to talk about the right decision. Absolutely.
Yep.
How old is G&J?
G&J was started probably early 80s by 2, John and Gerald.
Okay.
And then John was the owner when I came there and worked and took over about 3 years ago.
Awesome. So what made you buy a body shop rather than start one? How'd that start?
I did start on my side hustle type thing.
Sure.
At that time, it was just in rural Elma, Wisconsin. You know where that's at?
I do.
And it was tough. I mean, you get a lot of the farmer work, but so I wanted kind of a bigger town, more people, obviously, more cars.
Yep.
And then just kind of having that establishment, you're not going to keep all those customers.
Right.
But a lot of them that did go there before are going to come back, and you just have to build trust with them. But I just figured it was easier than starting from nothing.
Sure. Well, actually, we almost had. That's funny. I didn't know you were from Alma, because the Alma fishing float.
Yep.
A good friend of mine, Josh Skalitsky, bought that this year.
Oh, he just bought,
he just bought that right before the season started.
I heard that. So yep. Okay.
Yep. So he's one of my poker guys that plays in this room beforehand, and
Wow.
we were going to do an episode with him a couple weeks ago. Oh, wait a second, I gotta start.
We're going to get an hour yet.
3 minutes. We're 3 minutes in. Last time I started 25 minutes late. So, but math, we'll get it figured out. But what I did, folks, I turned on the shot clock. We keep our timers so we don't run this into a 4-hour. Well, I shouldn't say so. We probably won't run this into a 4-hour podcast. But yeah, Josh bought that, and he had a back. He's got a bad back, and he kind of hurt his back again. But he was going to do an episode here not that long ago. So now I've been trying to find a spot where I can have him sit in with someone too, and he'll probably be a reoccurring guest too. He came down and helped me kind of soundproof the studio room here and things. But yeah, so that's funny because that's not a very big town.
No, it's not. Very tourist town. Yep.
Yeah, and I know when we started our auto shop, Darwin wanted to start it in Casson and be Carew Car Care or Casson Car Care, which now there is a Casson Car Care, but you want to do something like that, and we were having some drinks and playing in a pool tournament, the DNR Star year end over 20 years ago. We've been in business 20 years, and he wanted to do it in Casson. And I was joking. I was like, well, I hope you like working on lawnmowers and you like chicken, don't you? He's like, the hell are you talking about? I was like, you're working in Casson. I said, you're not going to get to do brakes on Impalas all day. I said, somebody rolls in with a John Deere or something, you better figure out how to work on that. And when he wants to pay in chickens, you better like chicken. He's like, this isn't the Beverly Hillbillies. We're still going to. I was like, that's to say, you work in Alma. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, that is the truth. You get all kinds of variety.
Yeah.
Restoring tractors, or
and
it's
if you want
not
to pay
just
the bills,
Yep.
you take in the work.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No.
I just said, but if you want to do auto body and you want to stick with auto body, those small towns are tough.
Right.
You know, you got to, like you said, you got to go where the people are.
Yep.
You know, I mean, like Jeremiah, could you imagine putting Family Fun Center in Alma, Wisconsin?
No.
No. I mean, you better have deep pockets and not mind losing.
I already wish it was downtown or by the mall, because we're out on a service drive. I mean, we don't get a lot of. There's a lot of traffic. I don't know where they're going, if they're to and from work, and then maybe to the one auto dealer that's down that road. But I can only imagine what business could be if we were in a more centralized location where there's actual shopping.
Right. Well, I mean, location. I mean, that's it, you know. But the good thing you have going for you, though, is it's been there for decades.
Yes.
And so it's well known. And the thing that amazes me is, you and I talked about this earlier, the people come in wanting to play games.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're an arcade.
Yeah.
You know, the Family Fun Center. You're not selling tables. You're renting pool tables. You know, having people come in and play.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And we get that more often than I would like. I really try to. I guess stress that we provide the games for your home, and to the point where when I bought the business, created that tagline of "Bring fun home."
Right.
Family Fun Center, bring fun home, because it's not a arcade
Right.
to just come in and play. Even though some of the people like to bring their kids, and maybe I'll throw my daughter under the bus. She's doing that now, which is okay, because I get to see my grandkids then.
Yep.
It's like, you're welcome to come play anytime, because I love seeing them. But yeah.
No. How about you, Nate? How's that when you start talking location? You're in a pretty good
Yeah.
location. A lot of traffic. A lot of people see you.
Right. Our issue with our location is just getting to it, I
Access.
guess. Yeah, I mean, people kind of get confused because there was a street that connected it to Civic Center before, and now when Quick Trip and stuff moved in, that kind of changed around there.
Yep.
So that's usually the biggest complaint, but you hear a lot of people just, I've seen you when I drive down Civic Center, going to Mayo,
Right.
going downtown,
Well, it helps. You've got that bright blue building.
Yeah, right? Yep.
That thing is bright.
Yeah, we stand out with that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, really, when you drive by in Civic Center, you're looking at the front of the building, but it kind of seems like you're on the back of the building.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? But it's like you're on the alley behind, is what it looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does, when they changed all that, like, there's technically two addresses. Like, it used to be like 912 Civic Center. Well, if you put that address into like GPS or anything, it actually takes you on the other side of Civic Center by the park.
Oh, by the park.
Yeah. So then we actually have to, GPS wise, for Google, is our back door technically.
Sure.
To get them to the shop. So it gets confusing that way, but 90% of the time it works.
Okay, yeah. We have a similar thing with my gun shop. The door to the gun shop, it's an upstairs, downstairs. There's a bar downstairs. There's a gun shop upstairs. Good plan. Good plan. But that was one building, one address. So now we have to have suite 1, suite 2. And the bar, you enter in from the back side of the building, where there's a municipal parking lot behind, and you walk down the stairs. The gun shop, you got to walk out to Main Street, and you walk in the front door. So, when we first opened, it was, the UPS, FedEx, the post office, when they're dropping off a firearm, they have to get a signature. People like to cut corners, and I get a phone call from one of the bar owners saying, "Hey, I think they're shotguns." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, we came to open up the bar that opens at 4 in the afternoon, and the gun shop, we used to be closed Mondays, Tuesdays. We were open Wednesday through Sunday, and it was on a Monday or a Tuesday, and he came in, and there was just 3 shotguns leaning against the bar's back door on the away from Broadway, and it's like, or Main Street." And I was just like, "Oh, this is not good." So I went through everything to make sure we weren't missing. We did an inventory to make sure we weren't missing a package anywhere, and we didn't. But it's still the idea, someone having to call the carrier, going, "Guys, it's like we have our hours. You're not supposed to deliver on our days that we're closed."
Right.
But you definitely can't deliver it to the wrong address and leave it sitting from the bar. Yeah. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me?
Now I know what I'm going to do Mondays and Tuesdays when I'm in town. I'm going to take that little detour and just check it out, because there might be a gun there for me.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, it's like, boy, you can't do that.
Right.
And it happened more than once in the beginning. Now we've eliminated all those issues, and we're open more hours, and it's not a problem. But yeah, that's that's a headache.
At the Family Fun Center, we share a building yet, because that originally a lot of people local would know, but outside of Rochester wouldn't. That was DNR Star is one of the largest vending companies
Yes.
of leagues in the country, and and that was all owned by one family. The vending for the food, the vending for the tables and dartboards and all the bars, and then the retail. So now stuff gets dropped off on the other side of the wall. The other companies will take it off with the forklift and stuff, and they do a great job, and I appreciate them doing that. But sometimes stuff shows up damaged, and then I gotta try to figure that out.
Right.
And that's we're here for small business talk. That's
Who touched it?
The customers are wonderful. The vendors and the shipping companies, they're the headaches, because some people just don't take pride in their work anymore, apparently. And when stuff shows up damaged, it's creates a lot of headaches.
Yeah, it does. You probably don't have. I mean, you don't. Most of your stuff you buy local, or
Yeah, most of the stuff comes from dealers in town,
Sure.
parts places in town. Once in a while, you order accessories or something online, but usually, if customer has their own, if they want it, they
Sure.
pick out what they want, they get it shipped to their house, they bring it in. Then, I'd say like 99% of the stuff is from town. So
okay, that's kind of how it is with Broadway Car Care too. We don't get shipments from outside. It's all in town, just delivery.
right, yep.
Yeah, we're now Design HQ with Black Diamond Armory. That stuff it's constantly just shipped in. And now with the Garage Door Company, it's 60, probably 70-30. 70 of it is just, we were very fortunate to hook up with a local distributor. And so we're able to just literally drive 25 minutes and load up the truck, all the parts, and done. I mean,
Yeah.
because like the struts and the rods, these things are 16, 17 feet long. Ship those. I can buy the rods for $25. It's $85 to ship it. That's
Right.
so that'll give us a little bit of a leg up on some of the other guys around town, because we just we don't have to stock it ourselves. We get that we get the better price on it by just going right down and picking them up and load them up on the truck. Whatever we can carry in the truck is what we have.
Yep.
And then we have a little bit of warehouse space, but so far we're new, so we don't need a lot of warehouse space. We're not that busy yet. It's coming. So yeah, it's a different, wear different hats, with the different businesses to figure out. But yeah, shipping is awful. The gun side of things, the gun side of things, Black Diamond Armory, that is a whole different animal, because now if you don't have an FFL, Federal Firearms License, you have to ship things red label overnight. So shipping a gun yourself can cost you anywhere from $70 to $100. For us, we can ship them for probably more like $20 to $30. We can go 2-day on a handgun, and if it's a rifle or long gun, we can just ship it ground UPS.
Oh,
And so then so long guns you can ship really inexpensively. Handguns are still a little bit, because you got to go 2-day, but you have to have an FFL or an account with like FedEx, UPS to get out of the overnight.
Right.
So yeah, but you got to learn all that stuff, and it's just it's different from just even business to business.
Right.
But yeah, we just sent a couple hundred hoodies to Boston through Design HQ, and
Hard Hat Society.
Well, this is actually for Nick Bossy, the country singer.
okay.
And then a few Hard Hat Society samples,
Okay.
which boy, that has exploded. We opened the door on that, got it finalized kind of Sunday, put the website live Monday. And Jay, our artist, Jay Boucher in Boston, he just put it on his Instagram, and we had $450 in orders in an
Nice.
hour and a half, and it's like, okay, we're not ready for this yet. This isn't quite where we thought we were going to be yet, And then the next day is a little better, and Wednesday was even better yet, and here we are on Thursday. And it's like, I need to get moving. We need to get this stuff going, So
As I look at them designs, and Jay did a great job. He's done a couple for me as well. But for that Hard Hat Society, anybody that's in that blue collar, if their company, because it's the colors for
right, that's so they can work on the job.
Yeah,
Yep.
so if their companies, as long as they get that color, don't mind the designs.
Yep.
Boy, that's a gold mine.
Yeah, well, we're thinking so. We're hoping so.
Yeah,
We're pretty happy with it so far. We've had, of course, people now asking, well, can we get these designs on other colored shirts? Yes,
Okay.
soon.
just not right now.
No today, yes to soon. How about
Okay,
that?
yeah.
And then Jay, he let out another half a dozen, 4 or 5, I suppose, designs. And I saw him for the first time when I looked at his Instagram. I had to call, hold the phone. We are not ready for this yet.
Right.
I need these things in house first. And so, yeah, he was just laughing at me. He goes, well, get to it. I'm like, yes, sir.
I'm still waiting for the Must Be Nice shirts.
Oh, they're coming.
Good.
We've got a whole list of ideas for the Must Be Nice. The other ones that we have coming is the hopefully they'll be here by the time the podcast comes out.
Right.
But it's the I'm not wealthy, just irresponsible.
Yeah.
And then we just have all kinds of cool toys.
Yep.
And so, if you're a side-by-side guy, if you're a Ford, Chevy, Dodge guy, if you're a, boat, you want to put
Right.
your G2 on it, whatever, we've got one with a Lambo on it. And then we did like a Hellcat and a Camaro and Mustang, just some new stuff that people can relate to.
So what about those of us that aren't wealthy but also don't have the toys to say we're irresponsible? We're still irresponsible. We just don't have the
Right?
toys.
Well,
for
just
it.
gotta,
I don't know where it's going.
You got to tell me what to put on it.
Yeah. Pool cues.
Pool cues. Well, that's another thing. You need the Balabushka on there.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about. Give me an example of something for the viewers, right? For our subscribers that want to hear about our small business experience. Give me an example of something that obviously you guys thought you were prepared, and we're prepared. Let's be honest. We're all smart guys. We've got our own business, so you're prepared to get into business. But give me an example of something that you just didn't see coming. So a problem, and not necessarily. Obviously, we're all still in business, so it wasn't crippling. But just something where you're like, I'm ready to go, and then it's like, what the hell is that?
Well, I can start with that, and actually I'll do this on the for my family heritage business 9 years ago. When I signed up for that, how it started is somebody came, knocked on my door, showed me this cancer plan, and I'm like, you mean if I get cancer, I get paid that, and if I stay healthy, I get my money back? I'm like, who wouldn't buy that?
Right.
He's like, you should come work for us. I'm like, sounds great, but I need a paycheck. Commission doesn't work for me at this moment, but I'm going to. And I put it out about a year, and in 7 months, I made that transition. But the thing that I didn't realize was you got to go knock on doors. I'm like, I can talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Until you have to go talk to anybody,
and right.
So that was, but I did, and I did it very hard for 9 years, really, the first 3 to 5, and then once things get moving, it's all
sure. It's going to build your book.
Yeah. So on the Family Fun Center side, boy, that was a happenstance conversation that led into 10, 15 more conversations. Next thing I know, this thing's really happening. And I'll thank my wife, because honestly, she's the accountant. She's
definitely married up.
Yeah, I did. She's the accountant. She's the inventory manager. She keeps me in line. Honestly, if I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for her, because I'd be broke. She makes sure I don't overspend.
And we need to bully her a little bit, because she needs to come and do one of these.
Right. I would love, and actually I was really kind of looking at them like, be great to be the husband-wife combo.
Yep.
And then I saw on your list of people coming in, Tony's already got his wife coming.
Yep.
Like, you can't be the first, darn it.
Yep.
So,
and actually, Kelly and Fred were here Tuesday night, and both pastors, but husband and wife combo. And he's kind of the, it's hard to say it's what a pastor, but he's kind of the hard ass, and she's the sweetheart. And it just, we talked about that what an awesome combination, because when you're really trying to reach people and make a difference, no one approach is going to do that. You got to be able to diversify, and it's a lot easier to diversify when you have two personalities to work with. So with you and Roxanne, what an awesome combo to that checks and balances.
Yeah, I hope she comes in with me. I don't know, she's pretty shy, but
we'll get her
quiet. But I would love to hear what she really thinks about me in business, because she gives me a hard time when I sell something less than what it's marked, and it's like, I'm your average Joe, in my opinion, as a business owner. I get it's about conversations and relationships, and I'm going to do what I can do to help you get what you want.
Yep. Well, you're good at it. You're very good at it.
And thanks. But I feel like the non-sales lady is questioning the salesman on his technique. I'm like, quit it, you know. So, but that's just me.
Well, but it takes you back to that Shark Tank mentality, right? It's like, well, you can bust your ass, do what you don't understand, and make $100,000, and God knows how much you spent to get that 100,000, or you give up half the business to,
Right.
Mr. Wonderful, and all of a sudden you make 20. You get half at $20 million. Well,
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty easy choice, if you can do something like that. So it is, sometimes getting the sale, and especially in your business, when you sell something, very seldom is that just a one and done. Everything you sell, every big item for sure,
Right.
has accessories, has perishables. I shouldn't say commodities. I mean, like chalk, for instance, just something as simple as chalk for a pool table. When they come back for that, you're not really making any money on a $2 piece of chalk or whatever it is,
Right.
but they're coming in your store and they get to see the new stuff you have, and maybe that leads to an $800 pool cue or whatever, or a new set of bar stools, or
If I can tell a quick story,
Yeah.
because I don't want to take
No, you're good.
Nate's time here, but just yesterday this happened where somebody came in looking for cornhole boards, and we have 3 different sizes: minis, tailgate, full size regulation, and the gentleman works at I'll throw him out there. I'll give him a shout out to Camping World.
oh sure,
Well, the tailgate sizes fit perfectly into the camping storages, is what I'm told.
okay,
And they got an event coming up, and so they was looking for that. So they had some outdoor games. Well, one of the employees had that sold at what it's supposed to be sold at, and we've never varied from that. But through conversations, a couple questions, some light bulbs of ideas of how we can work together,
right,
I gave him a better deal, and that employee ratted me out to my wife. Yeah, and it's like, quit questioning me. There's a motive.
What if you sell 37 sets of those over the next couple of years because they're even just referring?
Well, that's just it.
Right,
Yeah. I
right.
mean, I'm going to work when with another business owner that we can help each other.
Yep.
Of course, there's going to be some deals.
Right,
I mean,
right. Volume always makes a
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
I mean, and with Design HQ, I've learned that people are asked, well, how much are these shirts? Well, how many do you want? Because now we're dipping our toe in the retail side. Well, on the retail side, there's not a lot of deals to be had. It's buy one for 20 or 2 for 35 or something like that. But there's a big difference between buying a dozen of this shirt or buying 1,500 of this shirt. And so now, because we've mostly been, Design HQ has really been geared towards the wholesale side of things. I mean, the shirt you're wearing, I just think about that. The shirt you're wearing right now, the logo that Jeremiah's wearing. This hoodie is
Yep.
that hoodie is
we
for
support each other.
Yeah, that's right. You make it work, and you help wherever you can. But yeah, if that shirt would have cost you less if you had another 80 employees.
Right. Right. Well, now you tell me.
Right. If only I had known.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Nate? I mean, is there something that you just didn't see coming? I mean, something that you just weren't prepared for?
I think small business or large business, you always, before I even bought the shop, you think about the employees and, finding good employees and making them happy so they want to stay.
Right.
That's probably been the most difficult part. I mean, there's days that there may be a customer that, they're right or wrong. You want to make them happy, so you kind of go out of your way to do that. It makes a tough day sometimes. But I'd say employees are the biggest. You just want to make them happy because, they're essentially what keep you in business.
Right.
I mean, you can have all the customers in the world,
But
if you don't
can't do
have
everything.
right.
Yeah.
You can't be. I mean, you can be a one-man show, but if
Right.
you want to grow and be bigger, and that's always the goal, you need people that work with you and work for you good.
Yep.
And to keep them happy.
Right. Well, I don't think there's a small business person with employees that is small business with employees. I don't think anybody would argue. And this isn't to say the employees are bad. I'm not picking. I've got great employees myself, and I've said that more than once. If you want to see great people, just come hang out with me. I'm not great, but the people around me are.
Yeah.
I mean, I say it all the time. It's like, you got to surround yourself with great people. That's what really makes a difference. But with your employees, I don't think any small business owner, again, with employees would question when you say your employees are the most expensive thing you have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm talking financially, emotionally, right? I mean, the time you spend, there's more things when you talk about expense than just money.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot a lot of things you have to do when it comes to an employee to keep them happy. Because if you don't, somebody else will.
Yeah.
I mean, that, bottom line. And sometimes it's not even that. The hard part when you have employees like, ooh, I'll go here because it's an extra $1 an hour. Are you going to be happy there? I mean, really, and I'm not saying you should come work for peanuts so that you can feel good at night. You still got to be able to eat. But if you're paying them a fair wage, give them a great environment. Give them something to, and, when you're wearing, I mean, both of you guys, I'm wearing Broadway Car Care, right? Family Fun Center, G&J Body Shop. When you go out somewhere, how many people do you see that are wearing a nice jacket, whether it's a Eddie Bauer softcore or it's a leather jacket or it's something, but it's got where they work. They don't own it, but it's got, are they wearing it proudly or are they wearing it because it was free for Christmas? They're wearing it because they love that place. That's where they work. And when you can create that kind of loyalty and you do that by taking care of them, and sometimes, you have to fire customers. It's not when, I'll tell a quick story about Broadway Car Care. Danielle used to work for us. This was years ago, but young lady, super friendly, great gal, hard worker. And I had an older gentleman, and when I say older, I mean older. He was 80 something. And she comes up and she drops off a ticket to me. He sat front and he says, what's she do here? I was like, well, she's our oil changer and light duty, does some brakes and, light mechanic work. But, she started out doing oil changes and she's not going to do mine, is she? He was dead serious.
Really?
And I just kind of looked at him and I was like, and I had his ticket all written up and his keys on my, tucked on my clipboard. And I just, and I kind of thought, this was back when we really weren't set like we are now. I mean, we didn't, now we do well, right. and we pick and choose the jobs we do and the people we do it for. I'm not going to lie. Back then, it wasn't really like that. We were still in the building phase trying to make sure that we were going to be here tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And it just struck a nerve. I pulled his keys off and I pulled him up and he kind of took them back with a funny look and he's like, what's this? Like, she's not going to do your oil change today. No worries. Have a good day. And he's just like, so I'm like, brother, you have no idea how good she is. I said, she doesn't have to do your oil change, but that's my choice. That's what I've got. If that doesn't work for you, I understand. Right. I appreciate coming in. I pulled his ticket off. I crumpled it up. I threw it in the trash, put the clipboard away, and I just turned kind of, shifted 30 degrees and started working on my computer. And he's just staring at me. He's like, well, I have an appointment. Right? You had an appointment with Danielle. You didn't want that. Right. Unless I misunderstood you. If I misunderstood you, I'll take the keys. We'll get this thing buttoned up. I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, but it didn't sound. You seemed pretty adamant that you didn't want her changing your oil.
Yeah. Yep.
And he just kind of.
So did he have her change the oil?
No, he left.
No.
Oh, really? He left. Yep.
It's really too bad.
Yep. Oh. He did. He left, and I'm just like, out of all the guys I've had run through that position, she was. I mean, and this I don't mean this to be sexist, but I mean, women and men are different. Period. You can't deny that. I don't care who you are. They're different. And she was so much more detail-oriented than any of the guys I've had in there. Now, did she need help getting an oil filter off once in a while? Absolutely. But now, this isn't about a man versus woman thing. This is man versus, 4'9" woman. She is just a tiny little thing and just an absolute sweetheart. But with being tiny, some of that factors in. I mean, sometimes can you get this off for me? Sure I can. Not a problem. Darwin, come over, Brandon, whoever, whatever. And but she was great, and Darwin kind of comes up and he's like, what was that all about? And I told him the story, and it's such an awesome atmosphere there because he didn't wrinkle his nose or you've known Darwin for years.
Yep.
He's just like, of course, his verbiage was a little rougher, but it's like we had the sailor came out, he's like, well, F him. I'm like, yeah, basically I said it politely, but I was like, here's your keys back, have a good day, and that's where we left it.
Standing behind your employee, I don't know if was she part of that conversation? Did she see that?
We told her later on because
right.
we picked on her, saying, we're going to have to put a help wanted sign. We have to, do you want to be a receptionist? We'd pick on her. We really picked on her about it, but we offered her a secretary job, and she's like, I'm good where I'm at. I'm like, well, all right. We can't have you turning away all these customers. So. And that was the only guy that ever did that to me, over her.
But between the humor and the fact that you stood up for that's I love listening to your stories at Broadway Car Care or about Broadway Car Care or whatever. I mean, there's plenty of them, and some of the other podcasts. The first one with you and Craig had some really really good ones in there. I've learned a little bit from these podcasts for sure. So
good. Well, that's our goal. We want to. Well, we've said it. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again for people that haven't listened to the past ones. The real goal of this podcast is to bring in the experts. I mean, the small business owners, right? The Jeremiahs, the Nates.
if you're watching,
Okay, Roxanne, we met you, but you didn't come today. So. But to share the stories and the pitfalls. They're not all the stories are good. I mean, they're not. I mean, even that story, I'm proud of that story, but it's not really a good story. I turned a customer away, right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing that. But on the same token, I don't want that guy as a customer. I'm not going to put his needs ahead of Danielle. Danielle, she's like a family member. I spend more time with her than I did with my family because we were at work for 8-9 hours a day, every day together. Yeah. I come home. Half the time I spend with my wife, we're asleep. That doesn't really count. I mean, so I get home, we have dinner, we watch a little TV, we go to bed. We get up in the morning, have a little breakfast, and I go to work. And I spend the rest of the day with my guys. And back then, Danielle, too. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm not going to forsake her for one guy for a $30 oil change. Right. And now to piggyback that, what else did I lose? Because he's not coming back for oil changes. But that means he's not coming back for brakes. He's not coming back when his alternator goes out, when his water pump starts to leak. I lost all that business, mm-hmm. And I don't have him telling his neighbors and his friends that they should come because Jerry's awesome and Broadway Car Care is a great place. I lost all that with him. But again, to me, I don't regret it.
Right.
Not one bit. But let's be real about it, too. Let's talk about what did that cost me,
Right. It cost you, but at the same time, your character is what built the business.
Absolutely.
So you really didn't lose anything by being that man.
Right. No, and I'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this. I wouldn't even second guess it. I would never question it. I'm still proud of that story. But like I say, from a business, we're talking about small business.
Yep.
Let's talk about these things. If I just swallowed my pride, Danielle didn't hear him say it. I could have got away with that and kept a customer.
Yep.
But again, it was one of those, and I feel like I would do that 100% of the time. I don't think there's a day where I would weaken on that. I'd have to be in pretty tough shape to compromise the morals that way, or the integrity. Probably not morals, that's it, but integrity for sure. But that's kind of what happens here. So, give me something. Yeah, give me.
Like what you were saying about picking and choosing work. I mean, when I was doing stuff on the side, or when you're first, even though we were an established shop already, you're kind of the new guy. You take like almost anything that comes in.
Right.
I mean, not, most of our work is insurance work, which, people don't really care what it costs because insurance is paying for it.
Right.
Well, then somebody comes that wants to pay out of pocket. Obviously they want the cheapest this and that, but you still need to keep that quality.
Right.
And then you're doing that stuff, you're keeping the quality, but you're doing it for a lesser price. And now we've gotten to the stage where we don't have to take that. Like if you come in and we say it's a $2,000 job, and they will, no, that's too much. I need like $1,000. That's not the work we do,
Right.
So,
and I'm gonna add to that. In your business, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit of what I see in mind. Somebody comes and says, "Oh, I want to do that for $1,000," and you want $2,000 to do it. Well, you could do that job for $1,000. I mean, you could cut the quality back.
Right.
You could speed up the guys, and obviously, you're gonna put out $1,000 product though, not a $2,000 product. And when you tell that to a customer, like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And it is great right up until they see the finished product and it's not awesome. Well, wait a minute. That doesn't look like it used to. It doesn't look like brand new.
Yeah.
No, for $2,000, it would look like it used to. You wanted $1,000. This is what you get for $1,000. And now your name's mud. Right.
Well, and the next thing is that's fine. That's what they wanted. We cut the corners, got what they wanted, but somebody sees that out in the public and it's like, what's wrong with that? Like, who fixed that? And then they say our name. And they're like, well, that's they don't tell them that, oh, no, I didn't want the full thing done. I just wanted this partial, cheaper cost.
Right. Right. That's it. I mean, there's so many losses to that cheap job. And it's not that you can't do it.
Right.
Right. We can do it. But or the next thing is when the guys are like, well, you tell them, well, we can, we prefer this wheel bearing over this wheel bearing because this Asian made wheel bearing that's half the money. We're not a big fan of it. They don't last. They only have a year warranty. We do this domestic one, or it's made in Canada, wherever it's made, but it's a better brand. Excuse me. And it's got a lifetime warranty.
Right.
Oh no, I'm not keeping the car. It's whatever. So you put the cheap wheel bearing on it and you save the money. Year and a half later, that wheel bearing goes, oh, Jesus, should these things last more than a year and a half? They should. And if they do fail in a year and a half, if we had bought the lifetime warranty one, that's my problem, not yours. I just take care of it. But now when I tell them I'm not going to, seriously, it's only like 3 months out of warranty and you're not going to take care of this? Well, you weren't worried about that when you wanted to save $50.
Yeah, because you were getting rid of it.
Because you were getting rid of it. But now here we sit and we're 3 months out of warranty. Now you not doing what you said you were going to do, and me giving you what you said you wanted me to give you, now it falls back on my shoulders. I'm supposed to bite the bullet and pay for this. It's like no, we put in good parts. Don't bring me your part because and folks are like, I've got my own alternator. Can you put it in? No. And people look at you like you're being a hard ass. Like, well, you're greedy or whatever. It's like, first off, I can't warranty that alternator. And you tell me I don't have to because I save money in the alternator. You don't have to. But when that alternator shits the bed in 6 months, and not to say it will, but if it does, you're going to come back to me and want me to put it in again. It's like, well, I'm going to charge you again. I didn't, And then the other side, and I'm right up front with people. I tell them, I said, it's hard to warranty. Well, I don't need a warranty. So, well, you say that now. But honestly, when that thing fails and you have to pay for it again, you're not going to be happy. And I said, I don't really want to deal with that. I'm completely honest with you. And the other side of it is, if you go to work tomorrow and they tell, and the boss says, oh, hey, by the way, I gave you an office chair. You didn't have to buy an office, bring it with you. So I'm going to pay you $2 less today because I gave you an office chair. It doesn't work like that. We get paid on our labor and we make some money on the part. And that's how this business works. This is the business model. Now, we're not charging you an outrageous rate on labor. And I've even had people go so far as say, well, why don't you just charge me a little more on labor? Well, if I charge you enough on labor to make up for what I'm losing on you bringing in your own part, why wouldn't you just buy the part from me, let me charge you my normal rate of labor, the money is out of your pocket is the same, and now you have a warranty. Now that is my problem because you bought my product and my labor. And right. So it's like you have this kind of, no, I'm not gonna give two labor rates, your parts, my parts, because I'm not gonna try and stand behind that stuff.
We at Family Fun Center we get some of that too with installing pool tables.
Sure.
They'll be like, well, I can be there and I can help. Would that save any money? Probably not, because the guys are going to go, they aren't going to want to do the job because they like to get in, do what they know, get it done, and get out.
Right.
And often somebody will have a pool table that's already taken apart.
Sure.
And nothing more scary when we're walking into that job from my standpoint of, boy, I hope every bolt and every screw is there. I hope that table was together nice and level and straight when they took it apart, because now we're going to go and we're going to install that table that was already taken apart, move it to another house, put it together like it's supposed to be perfect. Well, what if it wasn't perfect to begin with, and now you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know, right?
And and
nobody's going to say, yeah, I probably gave you a bad table.
Right.
It's your installers just don't know what they're doing. Right.
So we really want and encourage. I mean, yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more to let us take it apart, but in the end, everybody's going to be a lot happier.
Yeah.
I mean, even just hire the professionals.
Yeah. I had a boss years ago before I was working for myself, and he would talk about customers, and he would never use in behind the scenes, right? When just employees, he would never call customers. He would always call them the necessary evil. He always called customers. I don't necessarily believe that, but it was funny because he was just like, well, they're the necessary evil. We have to have them, and then we'd laugh and he'd look. He goes, "You guys are too." Because we're employees. You guys are too. Don't laugh too hard. You guys are too. He was a neat old guy. But he does call the customers again, when a necessary evil walks in the door, it's like, what? The first time he said it, it's like, everybody's like, customers. It's like, what?
One picture that I saw on a wall of a mechanic back when I was a young kid in Lewiston, there was a frame, whatever, it said, I used to be annoyed by the phone calls till I realized the phone calls was my business.
Yeah.
And I've always remembered that. And so you with Broadway Car Care, either one of you, probably that's, that's what it is. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I just thought, I don't know, it hit me and I wanted to bring it up
Yep.
because, again, the purpose of this podcast, I mean, some of them annoyances are still, we're there to.
That's and for me anyway, I hope you guys have the same thing, but over the years we have cultivated our clientele, I guess, or weeded out the clientele. I mean, we've fired a few customers. There's no question. I mean, not often, but it happens, and you do it as politely as you can. We're just not seeing eye to eye on this. You should really try somebody else. I mean, and I had this conversation with Fred and Kelly a couple nights ago, and I said, I again, not very often. We're talking probably single digits, or in 20 years, probably less than 10 people. But it's like, you have friends, right? And they just give you this blank stare, and it's like, I mean, you like go out with people, you have friends, people that like you. So do I, right? I'm not a bad guy, you're not a bad guy, but for whatever reason, this just isn't working, So rather than putting ourselves through this, wait until you get angry with me. Shop us around a little bit. Go get your car worked on somewhere else. Go try someone else. And I said, my big thing that I didn't realize when I was younger that now comes to light is, however you push that customer out the door, if you leave any kind of animosity on the table, they're never coming back, because it's a pride thing. They don't want to be embarrassed. It's a pride thing. And so you need to let them go and say, give them a shot, because it's one of two things going to happen. You're going to mesh with the next guy you meet, and it's going to be awesome, and you're going to forget about me, and that's great. You got somebody you can trust, you can refer people to. Fantastic. First guy isn't him, maybe the second guy is him, but when that third and fourth guy aren't him, come back and see me. I'm still going to be here, and we're going to be friends, right? If I'm the best guy you found, I don't have to be good, but am I the best guy you found? Right? There's a difference between being good at it and being the best that you found. The best can still not be very good. I mean, but I said I would like to think that you'll see the way a majority of our other customers see. We get our Google and Facebook reviews are very good. People like us. I mean, but we work hard for them, just like you guys. You don't want to. I don't want to upset anybody. And so, but you have to have that conversation every once in a while.
Right.
And so, I want folks to listen to this and get that no matter how sincere you are, no matter how genuine you are, there's going to be people that are going to try and take advantage of that. Now today we had a brake job today that it went well, but it had a parking brake issue that we weren't able to deal with. And I talked to the young man, and he was just like, "Yep, it's been that way since I bought it. No worries." Right. Okay. Now he could have very easily went, "What did you guys do?"
Yeah. And then you're fixing it. Yeah.
And then you own it. And that's the thing, because at the end of the day, I don't want a bad review because of a misunderstanding, or if a guy's trying to pull one over on you, he's gonna write bad reviews. He's gonna make it hurt.
And that one bad review goes like 10 times further than a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes you just got to spend the extra money to make it right.
Right.
I mean, even if it's going to cost you money in the long run, for that customer to be happy.
Right.
I have a similar situation when you were talking about that earlier. A pool cue, and it came in from the supplier, I guess, manufacturer, with a little blemish, and the customer saw it, brought it to my attention. I went and picked it up from him. I think I picked it up, anyways. But I told him to keep the shaft. I said, I don't want to be responsible for this. Spend a cue, keep it.
Sure.
I didn't know the process that the manufacturer needed to go through to get this blemish out. Sent it down. Well, anyways, when it came back yesterday, I only had the butt, and I'm like, I swear up and down, I sent the whole cue down there. So I called the manufacturer. I'm like, you got to have a shaft down there. And well, lo and behold, I made that call that you guys were talking about earlier. And thankfully, he kind of answered the question right away, too, for me. So then I'm like, okay. And I called the manufacturer up. I'm like, I got to eat a big black bird of crow because I was wrong. I did not send you the shaft. But now today when he came in, they don't match.
Sure.
And I knew I should have sent it, but I didn't want to risk that being. So anyways, the whole point is after he left today, I'm like, well, one way or the other tonight, and I'm going to figure this out in my head, take some time, figure out what I need to do it right.
Yep.
And I'm to the point, I'm just going to, I might just buy him a whole brand new cue.
Yeah.
And then I'll sell that one at a discount because it's not
It's not
perfectly
quite, not perfect.
married, but it's still a $1,300 cue.
Right.
You know,
It's funny
or
you say
more because it's carbon fiber.
Sure. And it's funny you say that because back when I had Jerry's Billiards, when I
Yep.
had my pool hall, exact same thing. Dealing with McDermott in Wisconsin is who I was dealing with. And I did the same thing. I was like, he had his shaft. I'm like, just keep it. We sent that. No, I sent that. They're like, we really should have the shaft back so everything matches. And I was like, we are the manufacturer. Don't you know the spec?
Right.
And they're like, these are expensive cues. These are one-off cues. This
Yep.
isn't mass produced.
Right.
I'm like, really? And so I called my customer. You know him.
Yep.
So I called Dick, and I was like, hey, you know what? It'll be fine. Oh, all right. He goes, yeah, I'm not going to, because I'm using it on my other
Right.
cue because I really like this shaft.
Right.
So he was using it. Okay. Well, then when it comes back, I give it to him, and same thing. It didn't match, and all of a sudden it wasn't fine.
Right.
So then I call McDermott, and they're like, well, you got to send me the whole cue back. I need the shaft and the butt. And they said they'd do it. I had to pay the shipping both ways, but they said they'd take care of it. I sent it back to them. They had it for 2.5 months then.
Right.
And which they had it for a month and a half the first time. Now they have it for 2.5 months, and I am just getting abused on a daily basis by Dick. And it's like, so yeah, I went to that same thing.
My customer actually works. He works for a furniture store, so I'm pretty sure he knows exactly how this happens because with furniture, I'm sure
Yeah.
they go through it too.
I would bet.
So thankfully, he's so far he's been very understanding.
Yeah.
And I think he will be. He's a super nice guy. But all in all, I do realize if I'm gonna get him a whole new cue, it might take another 4 to 5 weeks, and
Right.
I feel bad about that. And so then it's like, okay, not only it costs me money to, how else do I make it better?
Right.
And again, we'll throw Roxanne under the bus. She's gonna be like, why are you doing this? You're costing me money, your house money, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Because it's got to be done right. It's
gotta be done to be done right.
I mean, it just does.
Well, your reputation is out there.
Yeah.
And which way is it going to go? I mean, is it going to be the guy takes care of me? The guy
Right.
doesn't take care of me,
Right.
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 And that's really it. You sometimes you do have to eat some of that,
Right.
and you own it.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say for all those listening, don't just come to me and just expect everything. No, I mean, yeah, it's
But you take care. But when something goes wrong, you take care of it.
Right.
Yep.
And
absolutely. I mean, I'm sure in the body shop business, you've got the same thing. Things.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have failures. You're going to have paint issues or something.
Right. That's the majority of it. I mean, while you maybe have a guy that something doesn't get snapped back together correctly, or the paint, we've had a paint issue before. I mean, you're buying paint from a manufacturing plant where they have recalls and they have,
Right.
issues. So you do get an occasion where something bad happens, but you fix it, and you hopefully make the customer happy by just doing, fixing it, and then you go on to the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
we've
you get greedy people. They're like, well, this took time out of my day. You owe me this, and you got to deal with that. Most people, and like I said, I hope you guys are in that situation. I know at Broadway, at Black Diamond Armory, we have great customers.
Yeah.
We really do. We have great customers, and they know what to expect from us. And well, this young guy with the Cadillac today, first time he'd been in. So, and it was really funny. He goes, aren't we about $400 an axle for a brake job? And I'm like, yeah, not quite, but but I said, yeah, this is it. And I said, but, and he goes, okay, so we're good. I'm like, well, we haven't even looked at it yet. You said it needs brakes. We're kind of joking. I said, we'll get it in, we'll look at it. And I said, whatever it is, it's $20. I'm still going to call you. I'm going to tell you, hey, this is what we need to do. This is how much it's going to be. So there's no surprises, And he's like, no surprises. Hey, all right, I like that. I said, yeah. I said, either that or, just keep a couple grand handy and come back when you're done. And he started laughing. He goes, well, I can do that, but I'd rather not. I was like,
Right.
Perfect. I'll call you. How about I just call you when we figure out what's going on? I said, we know what we're looking for. We're looking for a brake problem. We'll figure it out. We'll call you.
one of the reasons I guess I wanted to do this, and when I saw the calendar, and I thought, I can jump on with Nate because I think we think a lot alike, and we're friends. We get along. But the point of all this is
That was a perfect opportunity to make him really uncomfortable.
right.
Just for the record.
I might have even did it to myself. I know. But
thought crossed my mind.
but the fact that as business people, I look at myself. the average Joe. I hate to use that term. I really do. There's better terms out there, but I can't think of them right now. But really, when it comes down to it, we're consumers on the other side for a lot of things in life. So it just comes down to we want to treat people the way we would want to be treated. We expect things to be the best they can possibly be, but we also know that things happen once in a while.
Right.
And it's just, it's how you handle it.
So you're saying being a business owner is a little biblical.
Sure.
Do unto others,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I mean, honestly, it really is people. And you want to be an owner that people can relate to.
I'm gonna throw this out there just because I can, and now I'm gonna have to change my password, but that is one of my passwords. Do unto others with some other stuff in behind.
With some other stuff
Yeah,
behind it.
because honestly, I knew that would be that's how I think in the business, I guess, and anybody listening to this that I maybe did wrong, I apologize. I'm not perfect, and I
Well,
tell
none of us
people a
are
lot.
perfect,
Yep,
right.
yep. I'm not a saint. I'm not perfect, but I try to be.
Yeah, and you're a guy that when you do make a mistake, you own it.
Yeah.
That's something. I mean, the whole not me.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on, we're all human. We make
Right.
mistakes, and if I made a mistake with you, then please don't judge the mistake, but give me an opportunity. And hopefully, if I know it's a mistake, I'm going to take care of it right away. But if something happens and I don't know it, bring it to my attention. I mean, let me know. Give me a chance to fix it.
A lot of that might have came over years and years of making a lot of mistakes. There was time I probably didn't own them the way I should have.
Sure.
Well, at least when I was a child, my parents would remind me. But yeah, it's trial and error and learning to do what's right.
And what about you, Nate? Like on the body shop, have you had employees? Of course, you haven't been doing it that long, 3 years.
Right, 3 years.
But you get employees. One of the frustrating things for me is when an employee won't own it, when they
Right.
goof something up. I mean, we work on people's cars too, not to the body shop, not to the painstaking detail that you do. We have an alternator. It's a greasy old alternator. We put a shiny new one in, but nobody really cares if it's shiny. They just want, if you push the car, you tow the car in, and you drive the car home, we win.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's, yours, that's not the case. Towing it in and driving it home with a door that's not quite right or a shade of maroon that doesn't quite match. That's,
Right.
that's painstaking detail. But
Yeah.
so have you had any issue like that where you've had employees that...
I try to keep. I mean, I know stuff happens when you're taking plastic basically apart.
Yeah.
With all these cars now, but stuff breaks. Say something so we can get the new piece or whatever it needs to be. Don't just try to put it back together and we send it back with the customer. And then 2 months down the road, pieces are falling off or
Right.
whatever. So I just.
in Minnesota, that's got to be a huge issue with all the plastic body parts.
Yeah.
Wintertime, when it's cold. I mean, you've got to bring
Right.
those things in, the night before? I
Yeah.
mean,
Typically, if we're doing something where it's like a day type job, we have them drop it off the night before, get it warmed up. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not doing anything without breaking it if you're trying to take it apart cold.
yeah, we take it apart cold.
Yeah.
When we do window regulators, and fix
Oh,
that,
yeah.
we'll take those inner door panels off. I tell folks, July, drop it off in the morning, we'll get it done in the afternoon. No
Yep.
problem. But December, January, February, it's like Wednesday, drop it off Tuesday. I
Yeah.
need that inside overnight so that we can, otherwise I'm not touching. If you drop it off in the morning, I'm not touching it till the end of the day. And if I get it done, I get it done. If I don't, I don't. But that's on you. Make sure I have it the night before.
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, that's we've had employees in the past who also said, well, it came in that way. I watched you break it. I mean, and the thing, it's like when your kid, when you guys both have kids.
Yep.
When your kid does something wrong, okay, we're not happy about it, but when they lie to you and say they didn't do it, now I'm angry, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like I was a little disappointed and we got to deal with the problem, but now you told me you didn't do it and I saw it. I know you did it. It's
That's
like,
why my parents are angry all the time. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad.
but right. I mean and so like an employee now it's like you're an adult. I'm not going to fire you because you broke this.
Right.
But now you're lying to me about it. It's like it did not come in that way.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah, it starts to become a problem. Like if it's like irresponsible all the time.
Right.
We know stuff breaks here and there.
Right.
If you're trying to do it right and stuff happens, that's a different story than just breaking stuff intentionally.
Right. And you weren't there, you didn't tug on it. You don't know how cracked it already was, how close to broken it already was. But the point is, you got to deal with that when it's when it's an employee that's a problem. It's not always the customer that's your headache,
Right.
Yeah, there's so many, and you've told me stories of things showing up, packaging is perfect, you open it up and the things are damaged.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that's not even a shipper issue at that point. That's right from the factory.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they don't want to take responsibility.
Well, that one actually was the shipper. It was a foosball table
Okay.
that flipped off the forklift and landed. It most likely had to have landed completely flat on the top, and so the box was fine, but inside the foosball table cracked on both parts of the compartments, and there was pictures of it at the shipper's dock in Dallas. And after with a 5-day claim period, and day 6 they send me pictures showing that it happened there, and then they denied the claims a couple times, back to the shippers and the vendors being the headaches.
Yep.
It's working out where we got the new one, and it's actually getting delivered next week now. But
Good.
yeah.
Frustrating though.
Yeah, but I wanted to cap on top of, when you're talking about the employees and stuff like that. Also, I think, and this is just how I try to work, two of the employees at the Family Fun Center are family.
Oh, sure.
So, and so for them to listen to stepdad, in this case, give advice, might not always be as welcome because,
Right.
I get it. They know a lot. They know a lot of things I don't know because that's the way it is. That's life.
Right.
But sometimes I'm giving my advice based on experience or looking ahead. Watch out for this. Do this because this could happen, and then it happens because they didn't listen.
Right.
That's so.
Well, I have 2 kids of my own and 3 stepkids, and they're all good kids. I mean, they're all good kids, but there isn't one of them that's the same. There's that. You got to. We've talked about that yet.
Yep.
That not one of them are the same, but like 4 of the kids have really no interest in the businesses at all, and it does kind of fall on deaf ears sometimes until it comes true, and then you got a big decision to make as stepdad, as step-parent. Do you rub their nose in it and make them really hate the fact that you were right, or do you just try to cultivate the idea that you can trust me?
Right.
We know different things. All of us, everybody in this room, your
Yep.
kids, we all know different things. And I don't have a problem reminding my kids sometimes. It's like, you're in your 20s and I'm in my 50s. So we know different things, but what I know a lot better than you do. It's like you're trying not to be arrogant about it, but seriously,
Right.
and I tell my kids too, I hope you're all more intelligent than I am. I mean, I really, truly do. But at this point, that's kind of irrelevant because you don't have the experience I have. Right. So, I'll concede intelligence. Fine, you're way smarter than I am. That's fine. And that just means you're going to do better in life if you pay attention. But you still need the experience. And that's the one that when they're younger, it just doesn't, they don't get it till they get it. And that is really, in my opinion, I think with all 5 of my kids, that's the one that is just like turning a light bulb. It's just all of a sudden one day it's like, you're right. I mean, and they're adults now, and they'll say that out loud. They have the humility to go, you're right. I never really knew what you were talking about. Until this, because I had that moment with my parents.
Yeah.
My dad in my eyes, he went from just annoying when you're little because he's always thinks he's right, and then when you're an adult, you're like, he really is always right. Wow. I mean, my dad was amazing. He really was, but I didn't know that when I was a kid. I just didn't get it.
You bring up again, and this might take the conversation to a different direction. I hope not. But I remember 25 years ago, probably now, where I was doing so many different small businesses, where my dream was to cultivate it to become something so each one of my 3 girls could have a business.
Right.
I was I owned a landscaping company at the time, had a partner. My notes, that's one thing I would be careful of, partners, right? But I had a partner, and we had a good run for 6-7 years, and thankfully we got out of it before the housing bubble. what else? I had a Christmas lighting business.
Yep.
And then I had Amway or Quick Star.
Right.
You know, and I was young and great company,
Yeah.
great products, but not the easiest business to build, right? I was managing apartments. I was milking cows when people would go on vacation. I was moving snow. And ultimately, it might be why I got divorced the first time, because I was always working. I couldn't say
Right.
no.
Right.
And now, thankfully, my kids are all older, so I still don't have to say no. But my wife supports me. So, but none of them want to, or from my understanding, none of them really have any desire to. Boy, I can't wait until, I can be part of the Family Fun Center.
Yeah.
And
right.
and it's funny, the youngest boy, I remember, he's 19 now. I remember when he wanted to be that insurance agent. And the first couple of years, he wouldn't want anything to do with it now. But,
Yeah.
So anyway, just again, it might take a different direction, but
You'll have to remind me of this later on, because I want to do an episode, and I didn't even think of you on this until you just said that. I want to do an episode that focuses on when your small business is a job and when your small business is a business, right? Because we've talked about that before. As a small business owner, I think one of the most important things you can do for yourself is differentiate and understand when to work the job and when to work the business, because it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's way different. There's
100%.
there's times where you're going to need to sand a fender. I mean, it's because it's got to get done. Okay, well, when you're sanding that fender, you're an employee of G&J Body Shop. You are doing the job. You're not helping you're helping your business, but you're not growing your business. You're not working the business. Right? You're not owning the business at that point. You're sanding a fender because that fender needs to get sanded.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing for you. If you have to go out and put up a pool table, you got to go deal with a guy in a pool cue because the shaft doesn't match. Right? You're not building your business at that point. You're working the job.
Right.
When Roxy's behind the counter and she's ringing up people on their dart flights, right?
Yep.
She's working the job.
Yep.
And now, you can argue that a little bit. Well, you need that customer service and you got to build your business.
Yeah.
Right. But you would expect your employees to work that same angle and take care of people, give them good customer service.
But,
right?
and I think you said it to me recently, nobody does your business as good as you do. In
Nobody.
your mind, I
Yeah.
guess, anyways, right?
Nobody.
Because nobody's got the heart or the
That's
thought.
the word.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah.
You can't replace heart. You just can't. And nobody is going to do your business and have the passion. You're going to have good employees,
Right.
and you're going to take care of them. And you're going to want to make them stay. But at the end of the day, nobody is going to do for your business what you're willing to.
So you're ultimately working your job anyways.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
but it's building your business. So
Yep.
So
Yep.
which that opens up to the question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Because you own a number of businesses.
I do.
I know how many. How many are no longer in existence? That was a question I thought of one night. I mean, because are you batting a 1,000 here?
Well, I can say this: none of them went bankrupt. Right? I haven't lost a single business yet, so I'm real proud of that. I'm very proud of that. I have sold businesses.
Yep.
Some of those businesses have failed after I sold them, but I sold successful businesses. The pool hall being one of them.
Yep.
I mean, but that pool hall changed hands 4 times after me, I think.
Okay.
And I don't know how profitable it was for any of them, to be honest.
Right.
But there again, the trouble with a bar, the trouble with a pool hall that serves, anything entertainment like that, if you spend your whole day, I mean, like in a body shop, there's not a lot of fun to be had at a body shop, right? I mean,
Right.
it's work. It's work. But when you're at a bar, it's pretty easy to slip around to the other side of the bar while your bartender is working and your waitresses are working or your manager's working and you're sitting there getting sloppy drunk all day. Okay? That's not working your business.
Right.
That's not working the job.
Right.
That's just being useless.
Yeah.
I mean, is what that is.
Right.
And those guys that do that, they lose. They don't win.
Right.
And when you talk about a pool hall, if I just sat and played pool all day and let somebody else run the business, and when anything's going on, it's like, don't bother me in the middle of an 8-ball run. This is a good game. I'm playing. Leave me alone. You can't do that. I mean, you can. It just doesn't last.
Right.
And I've never done that with my businesses. And I watch them after I've sold some of these, and that's exactly what happens. It's, you get, well, I'm a big deal, and I'm going to go sit over here and have the young gals sit on my lap.
Yep.
We remember that guy.
Yep.
And it's like, that's gonna be tough to make that living if you're not going to work it. If you just want to be the man, That doesn't work.
Right.
You know.
How about and I'm going to make sure an episode doesn't go by that the red car theory doesn't come up. I'm going to bring it up right now.
I love that.
Yeah, only for the fact of so nowadays the businesses that you're seeing the opportunity to help somebody else with their dream. How many of them has some of them not worked out as well as you had hoped?
No, actually.
Good. Wow,
Actually.
that's awesome.
I want to piggyback on something you said earlier when you talked with landscaping business partners. Be careful of partners. That is an extremely important lesson. Be careful of partners. Now, I have partners in virtually every one of my businesses. I don't know if I own anything anymore that's just mine. I mean, really, everything has partners.
Right.
But we always make sure that, or I always make sure that I don't want to if I don't want to get a partner that's good at what I do. You know, I mean, honestly, I don't, and it's not like an ego or a competition. A little bit competition, because you look at Darwin and I at Broadway. I mean, I'll tell you what, there's very few mechanics in our area that'll keep up with him. He's very good. You've known him for a lot of years.
Yep.
He's extremely good. Now, not only is he not really good at what I do, you know, but he doesn't want to be, you know, and the reason he's not good at what I do is not because he can't be good at it. It's because he doesn't want to be good at it. Right. And same thing for me. I can go through, I can fix your car. I'm not a bad mechanic, but I'm slow. I'd never make a living at it. You know, I would be broke if I had to fix cars. So with that being said, I don't want to do what Darwin does.
Right.
So if we're going to be partners in there, pick one of the best mechanics in your area, and I know how to run the business, and I talk to the people up front. It works great. And the problem is when you get two mechanics or two front guys, now you start butting heads, because two good front guys, just because you're good at it doesn't mean you're going to do it the same way. And if we both are owners, I can have a second front guy as long as one of us is subordinate. You really have to, somebody has to be in charge. Yep. Now with Darwin and I, he always calls me the boss, right? He always teases and he tells me, oh, you know, got to keep the boss happy. And, you know, but at the end of the day, we're 50-50 there. Yeah. And he works hard. He's the hardest working guy I know. You know, I don't hold a candle to him in actual effort. There's no question, you know. But I do my part. I make sure that he doesn't have to cover my ass, you know, when something needs to get done. You know, I mean, I get all the stuff that we have to do up front. I talk to the customers. I do the things he doesn't want to do, and we make the business work. Mm-hmm. You go to Black Diamond Armory. Nathan, he's a great gunsmith, and he worked that business for a while. Now he started trucking. We found Michael, who happens to be my oldest stepson, but the kid's awesome. He does an incredible job down there. We've got a great staff with Hans and Ryan. Jeremy just left. We will miss him. Hopefully we can get him back someday when he's ready to retire, maybe come back part-time or something. You know, Alex is down there. We've got a great staff. And they do I spend 3 or 4 hours a month in that gun shop now. Right. So, but neither does Nathan. Nathan does payroll. I come in and do the live shoots for the permit to carry, and you know, we both do some things behind the scenes when there's issues, but it works out well. Design HQ is way more hands-on right now, and we need to get away from that. I need that, and it's starting to take off. It's really starting to get time-consuming, and I don't have the time for it.
Right.
And so I need to make sure that we are able to expand that business, handle the business, and not lose customer service. So now, Happy Garage Doors, Blake, what a great kid.
Yep.
What a great kid. And I just looked at the situation he was in with his past employer. I'll tell you, folks, when you work a job, and there's nothing to be ashamed of working a job, right? We all got to contribute. We all want to give our part. But when your boss starts messing with your pay, right? I mean, whether they start, they're taking it from hourly to a commission. They're taking it from a commission to hourly plus bonus. Folks, look at that. Look at it up and down. Look at it left and right. Something's not right there. I mean, messing with someone's pay scale, not to say that things don't have to change sometimes, but it's very seldom in the employee's benefit. I mean, right? I mean,
yeah.
You know, you don't mess with a guy's pay. You just don't. You know, and that's exactly what they were doing. They were moving them from an hourly to a commission. And, you know, and I told Blake, I said, you know what you made last year, and you know what you did to get there. He's like, yep. I said, apply your new commission to last year. and see what you would have made if you had been on that commission last year. Then compare it to what you actually made. Did you get a raise? And when he did that, he come back, and I mean, he was just like, he was spitting tacks. He was like, do you know how many more things I would have had to done just to break even, just to get back to where I was?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well,
Which
then
is,
I don't know, are like the guys that you have at the shop, are they like an hourly or commission? Because I know, like in our field, you can work hourly. I mean, 8 to 5, you get paid that set amount. But if
Yep.
you're like a flat rate, I mean, you can make good techs can make a lot of
Huge money.
Yeah, and you know, I've always, well, our guys right now are hourly.
Yep.
It's just you don't want. I mean, they're green. I mean, they get better every day type thing.
Yep.
But you don't want to put them in the spot where we're going to commission, and you guys, whatever you produce, like you might not take home as much, but
Right.
you need to get that person to that 100% or better first.
Right. Right. Yeah. I was saying, if you're gonna run a commission program, you've got to make sure your guys are able to pull their weight.
Right.
Right. And that doesn't mean that they're bad guys. It's just like you said, they're green. They don't know.
Right.
And the other thing is, for me, I think the commission side of things, I don't want to. If you come into me as a customer, I mean, you are a customer of mine. You know, I don't want to. As a customer, I don't want to come in and say, yeah, my guys are on commission. So the more we fix on your car,
Right.
the more we make. You know.
Right.
I mean, obviously, the more we fix your car, the more you spend. But what I want to. I want to be up front, and I want to deal with you guys. I want to deal with my customers. I want to deal with the vendors. I want to pay the bills. Right. I want to do the payroll. I want to do all the things that I do as administrative management in that company. I don't want to be in the back looking at Brandon going, when he comes up and tells me that your car needs front pads and rotors, I don't want to go back there with my micrometer and mic those rotors and go, does it really need rotors? You know, because he's going to get an extra $20 if we put rotors in your car.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
That's
that's
commission maybe a little bit different. Yeah, like, well, I should have
But
said
see, in
like
my-
flat rate type.
right. But same thing. But that's
It's-
that's the same thing. I mean, the more work he does, the faster he does it. You know, and so he's all of a sudden going to start picking on a brake job. If you're paying flat rate, do I want to? If you're a mechanic, do I want to machine those rotors or do I want to put new ones on? Because when you're commissioned, you know, and flat rate, however you want to phrase it, I mean, time is money, and if I can just pop 2 new ones on it rather than machining the old ones, I'm making more money. And so I don't want my guys, and with us, it's not really so much of a big deal either because we're all family. I mean, we've all been there together forever, and I don't have to worry about that. Do I have to go back there when he tells me that brakes are at 2 millimeters of thickness? Are they really at 5? Brakes are easy, so he just wants to do brakes today. So we're just going to start. Everybody needs brakes today because because the luck of the draw. You know, that guy's doing it, so now everybody needs brakes today. You know, I don't want to have to be back there and micromanaging that. And so they get paid an hourly wage. And, you know, one thing I promised my guys too, I was like, you know, I expect you to be here your 40 hours a week. And I said, but with that expectation, I am also going to give you the promise that I will make sure you are here for 40 hours a week. Right. I mean, how many shops, you know, it's slow, it's noon, just go home.
Yeah.
Well, that affects your paycheck.
Right.
Right? I mean, now I tell them, you got something, when we're slow, if you got something better to do, tell me. Go. But I said, I'm going to make I'm getting paid by what comes in the door. You know, I'm an owner here. So I said, if you need your 40 hours to buy groceries and to pay rent and to make your car payment, whatever, that's great. When it's slow, I'm going to go. You know, I mean, you stay here and stay, but now I'm not, but if you've got something better to do, let me know. Because I own this. I want to be here.
Right.
But I'm not going to, but on the same token, if I tell you I expect you to be here 40 hours a week, I'm not going to cut you loose and only pay you for 32 because we were slow that week.
Right.
That's, and if we're slow, that's not your fault. That's mine. I didn't bring the cars in. You know, I didn't bring the customers in. If my phone didn't ring enough, why didn't it ring? You're not in charge of making the phone ring. I am.
Right.
You know, so for me, I don't care for flat rate. But yeah, you're right. I mean, some techs can really make some money, but you'll see these prima donnas. They know. They'll look at a job and they're like, ooh, yeah, the valve covers in that old Explorer. It pays 4 hours and it takes me 4 hours, and he'll dance around that shit all day and let the newbies take it. That's going to take them 6 hours to do, you know, and they're going to lose their ass on it. But they'll grab every tie rod end, every brake job, every sweet, easy job, and of course you call them out on it. It's like, yeah, you know how much money I made you last year? It's like, I don't need that headache either.
Yeah.
You know.
at the Family Fun Center, the specialty retail is what it is basically. I'm not a fan of the commission because it's been suggested, and I'm sure there's plenty out there that do it. But yeah, when it's slow, you're not making the money. I don't want to feel that guilt. At the same time, when it's busy, I just want to make sure everybody's taken care of, and I want them taken care of the same.
Right.
I don't want you picking and choosing or leaving a conversation because they came in and farm boots versus
I was just gonna say,
versus I don't know, loafers or whatever the
Right, well, yeah,
issue would be.
A guy walks in. I mean, you're in Rochester, Minnesota, the home of the Mayo Clinic. When a guy walks in loafers, khakis, and a cashmere sweater, and another guy walks in bib overalls and farm boots,
Right.
what's your commission sales guy? Where's he headed?
Right.
I mean, I'm telling you, those two customers, when they're in there at the same time, they don't get treated the same.
Right. And and I've seen that in different instances or places. So
Yeah.
again, to me, it's more about making if that person doesn't look like they're going to spend $1,000 on a pool cue, they're going to spend $150 on the lower end. I don't care.
Yeah.
They get the same treatment,
Right.
same conversation. What do you shoot with now? What I do for my sales part of it, I ask people kind of what is your budget, because I don't want to try to put you into a $600 or $1,000 queue if that's totally out of the
Right.
question. But it is kind of funny. Last night a gal came in for a tip and she left with a $1,300 queue.
Well, I'll tell you, some of the most wealthy people I know are farmers.
Yes.
And when they come out on Sunday, you wouldn't know they're a farmer.
Yep.
When they come out of the field they're tired, they didn't go home and shower first, they just came to you.
Yep.
I tell you what, some of the wealthiest people I know.
And some of the hardest working.
Oh, I'll tell you what, blue collar America. Well,
Yep.
our Hard Hat Society.
Yep.
We believe in blue collar America. This country does not survive on suits alone.
Right.
It doesn't. I mean, you need us. You need the people that are out there getting dirty and working.
Yep. We need more of it.
Need more of it.
Yeah.
Well, and really, what we need more people to be supportive of it,
Yes.
and to push more people into doing it. And again, the premise of this podcast, the whole purpose, I had this talk with Fred and Kelly. Again, it got a little spiritual at times, and it was a fun conversation. And we say, people want to give, people want to contribute, right? Mm-hmm. They want to be part of something. They want to be included. They don't want to be left out. Yep. And we did decide that being left out and wanting not to be left out and wanting to be included are two different things. I didn't see it that way in the beginning. And you have to listen to that. Kelly does a very good job. And Fred looked at her lovingly from afar and let her talk about this. And it was great. But she did. She's like, it is different. I mean, not wanting to be left out versus being included. Not everybody wants to be part of it, but they don't want to be the wallflower either. They just want to be. They don't want to be left out.
Right.
And they just kind of. I mean, it's like me and B&I, right? I don't really want to be included. I don't want to be president. I don't want to be any of that. Yeah. But I want to be there every week. I want you to remember me. I want to be part of that. I don't want to be left behind. Mm-hmm. And so I can relate to that. I mean, there's a little more to my not wanting to do that than just that. The backside of that story.
Yep.
But it's true. There's she really did convince me, because I thought, well, wanting to be included, not wanting to be left out, same. No, not really. Not really. There is a, when you want to be included, you want to participate.
Right.
And being involved and participating, definitely two different things.
Yes.
And
just look at any charitable organization.
Any organization.
Or group.
Yep. 90-10.
Yep.
90-10.
Yep.
Yep. 10% of the people do 90% of the work.
Yep.
That's how and that's how it'll always be.
Yep.
Yep. So, speaking of that, are you guys in any civic organizations or groups or anything like that, or even just Chamber of Commerce kind of things like that? Did you join?
We're part of the chamber. I was fortunate that they were already and the dues were paid. I'm not 100% sure that I'll continue.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of the extra taxes that they certainly are fans of. Mm-hmm. But, that's to be determined yet. There's a lot of value in it, at the chamber.
There is.
But I just got to understand that. Being in a small town, live 30 miles outside of Rochester, I don't like paying that tax any more than anyone else. I don't like charging that tax.
Right.
That's the bigger thing. I'd rather pay it than charge it.
Yeah.
But and then So part of that, obviously, part of BNI, and then I think that's it. You know, I've got interested in other ones, but
Sure.
time.
Right.
Let's
How about
see.
you, Nate?
In BNI,
Okay.
like you just were saying, time. It seems like you could run around every day and be
Yeah.
part of something. You got to try to pick and choose, or where you want to spend your time and what people you want to spend it with.
Right.
Who do you think you can benefit and who can benefit you, type
Right.
thing.
It's a three-legged stool. I mean, everybody's, you lose one leg, it tips over. You
Yep.
everybody's got to benefit. Absolutely. Or that's how I view it. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you guys too. But, we talk about, keep doing that. We talk about, being in the community. And when you talk about a chamber, I've owned businesses in multiple towns. One thing you see that's very common in chambers is they will attach to a geographical area, like downtown, for instance. The like I was in Owatonna, and we owned an auto shop that was just outside of. It was on the edge of town, and the chamber. When you go to the chamber events, everybody that was on the main strip, the downtown, they were a nice close knit group. They helped each other. They were super supportive. You walked in there, it was like you were a leper and your arm was about to fall off. And I mean, we're paying the same dues. And when it came to any kind of function, you'd look at a flyer, you'd look at a billboard, anything they put together, that downtown coalition was boom, front and center. Then the rest of us had our little spots, and it would even be to the point that my logo would be smaller than everyone else's and off to the side. And it wasn't just me; it was everybody else. It just wasn't that downtown. And what it called it the Downtown Coalition. Then the chamber came in and took that over. Well, all the good old boys and gals were still the Downtown Coalition when that really didn't exist anymore. It was all chamber, and the rest of us were all just outsiders. And I thought, what a ridiculous way to handle this.
Yeah.
But then you start going to other towns. That's not. I mean, Rochester's not entirely different from that. I mean, they
Just
have
bigger.
Right, just bigger. But they have their area that they really cater to, and the rest of us were kind of like,
Yep.
Whether it's your type of business that casts you or your location. And so, you gotta watch that.
I'm sure location has a lot to do with it, whether it's the advertising that they're seeking to help support the organization or whatever.
Right.
And they're next door. It's less time to go from one to another. I mean,
I'm sure calling them out on my podcast, this will help.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. But you know,
So I didn't mean to bring you guys into
no,
this.
that's all right. Because honestly, I mean, again, there's value, but I think it's great for everybody who's even watching or listening to watch out for. No, watch out's the wrong term. Instantly,
No, but be aware.
Yes, there you go.
That just because they're a chamber doesn't mean you automatically have to join to have credibility, and not all chambers are created equally.
And
research yours.
And the other thing, when you do join, participate. That was talked about this morning in BNI, and I haven't participated in the chamber stuff yet. So I'm kind of also at fault, but then again, I haven't, other than coming and talking about my original dues, haven't had anybody walk back into my business to talk about anything.
Right.
I get emails like crazy. Well, I get emails like crazy from a lot of things. I don't have a lot of time to read long emails. Especially
that
when
little black and gold sign doesn't do it on its own.
And I'm going to call it out, especially when all they're doing is pushing that tax.
Right. Well, that's it. I mean, that's it. I really, for everyone that's listening that wants to get into business, I hope you're getting something from these podcast episodes. But if you're not, then support us, right? Support the small business. That's, at the end of the day, you have to understand that the Home Depots, I shop at Home Depot. I'm not going to tell you I don't, right? But the Walmarts, the Home Depots, the Kohl's, these big stores, I'm not going to say they're not a necessity. I mean, they definitely add to our quality of life. But the country can't survive on those alone.
Right.
They need us. They need these small businesses. They need you. They need the people that want to get out and do these things on a local basis. But to do that, sometimes you got to let go of the Amazon order and drive 3 blocks or walk 3 blocks and deal with your local stores, deal with your local body shops, deal with your local vendors and businesses.
Well, the one thing I'd like to tell people at the Family Fun Center, anyways, is sometimes when they're looking for something that we don't have, if you find something you're looking for, give me a shot to order it for you and still try to save you money. Yes, you're going to wait that extra day, maybe. You're going to have to come back to my store. But if I can save you money, because the other side of that statement really is, we're here now, but might not be if you keep doing Amazon. And then you lose the help that you're looking for when you need it. So, I mean, there's a balance there. We get I get stuff on Amazon too.
Right. I'm not going to tell you don't buy Amazon.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean,
But
we're talking to them right now.
Sometimes, asking the person that owns, whether it's a gun shop, because I don't know, you can't buy guns on Amazon, right?
No, but you can buy them online.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You can buy them online.
So,
absolutely.
But why not help?
BlackDiamondArmory.com.
What was that again?
BlackDiamondArmory.com.
No, perfect. But help out that small business because they're your neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they're in a neighboring town, they're still your neighbors, and they're still they're still consumers.
How many like fourth grade softball teams does Amazon sponsor?
Right.
Right. I mean,
I would bet you the number is 0.
I would bet. Yep. I would bet. And that's the thing. When you get all the folks, we did a fairly lengthy talk with Daniel and I a week ago about all the folks that you don't see them when they're buying things, but they'll come in because they've got a charity or a fundraiser they need donations for. And it's like, how many packages you get from Amazon today? And then you come in here, ask them, hit them up and see what Bezos wants to do for you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're not charitable. I'm sure Amazon does charitable stuff. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for. I mean, that's a big side of this that we need.
I got that phone call today and asking. Don't know who it was. Don't remember the organization or anything at the moment. But I basically told him, I said, tell you what, I said, I like to know who I'm contributing to. Based on what he told me, I believe I probably will. But once you come into my store, at least walk in and show me the flyer. Let me know who you are, what it's about, versus just that simple phone call of asking for a donation.
That's just canvassing the area and seeing what sticks.
Right.
Yep.
Because I would probably love to donate. I mean,
right. And it's a great way to get your name out, as long as it's going to be an event that's going to have some, it can benefit both of you, know. Mm-hmm. But guys, we are way over by
perfect.
A lot.
I win.
I knew. I can't keep my mouth shut. So, but did you have fun?
I did.
Yeah.
All right. Wasn't terrible. Awesome.
I'm gonna get one more point in because we made notes.
We made notes. All right.
And truly, one of the things for me, and I actually when I started Globe Life, and kept my notebooks. Just school notebooks, every new notebook, every quarter, I wrote it in on the front cover was a quote, Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank, which you mentioned, his dad. And so on a Success CD, the Success magazine, I'd listened to one that was, all anyone deserves in life is an opportunity. And I wrote that in there, and I always looked at that, and that's by far my favorite quote, because
I like that.
there's a lot of opportunities out there and looking for them or dreaming of them or whatever.
Red car theory.
Yeah.
Red car
so
theory.
all anyone deserves in life is an opportunity. You don't necessarily deserve the business.
Right.
You got to work for it, but you deserve the opportunity.
You deserve the opportunity.
Yeah. So
and
I wanted to make sure I got that in.
Well, I can't tell you how many times in a week or a month or a year that I say that to someone, and sincerely, it's like I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not that I mean I appreciate their business also,
Yep.
but the opportunity it has to come before the business does.
Yep.
Because they don't have to walk in your door, they don't have to call your phone number.
Right.
And I want to touch on something that you said just a minute ago before we go. A good friend of mine, he works for an auto parts store in Rochester, and of course he's a vendor of mine. I talk to him every week for sure, but he was set up and going down to Chatfield, and he was going to make a run, make Chatfield part of their run for parts. And he went down. He talked to a bunch of guys. A couple of them said, "I'm good with where we're at," but he said most of them were pretty receptive to him. And so he dropped off credit applications. So I'll come back next week and pick them up. And he said, I got, some of these guys were really, this was great to have another option. Think I would get somebody from Rochester with a lot more inventory coming to Chatfield once a day. This would be great. He says, then I go the next week and I got, I didn't get to it. I'll pick it up next week. Goes to the next shop. I didn't get a chance to do it. I'll pick it up next week. Goes to the next shop. Guy avoids him like the plague. And he says, I don't think I'm interested. And Matt's his name. Matt's our salesman, and he says, I didn't get it. Next week I come back, and I didn't really think much of it. I thought, okay, well, a couple of them got cold feet, no problem. Come back the next week, the guys that didn't have time to fill it still hadn't filled them out.
All right.
And he said, finally, I get to like the third or fourth guy on my second or third week, still just getting, I haven't got a single application back. He said, after everybody, almost everybody was like, yeah, this is awesome, we want you. I finally got one of them to just open up and say, the guy that owns the local Napa, or I think it's Napa, but the local parts guy down there, when he saw Matt going through this, and these guys said, hey, finally we're going to have a little competition for you. So then he went to every single one of these guys and did exactly what you said. He told them, he says, I do the best I can. Are they going to have more parts than me? Probably. Are they going to maybe have better price than me on some stuff? Probably. But you still do your lion's share business with me. You cut my throat by going to him and letting him in town, I won't be here.
Right.
And now you're going to have to get everything from him, which is a single delivery a day, not right here in town where I can shuttle it over in 20 minutes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Matt said, he goes, I was so mad but impressed at the same time that this guy was able to get through to these business owners going, if you take 20% of my business, we don't have huge margins. If I lose 20% of my business, I'm probably not going to survive. So, I mean, that's a huge lesson to
Right.
be, it sounds kind of cutthroat to do that, but he's probably not lying.
Right.
Yeah, I doubt he's living in $1 million house or, driving Ferraris. So how much can you lose before you're absolutely right? We're not going to be here tomorrow. So that was just a story that was Monday. I think we talked about that this happened this last few weeks.
Well, and I'm sure we all see it all the time.
Yeah.
And it just, unfortunately, we don't get to talk about it till we get to sit in with you.
Yeah, right, right.
And I'll try to help you get to the point you're trying to get to. We could do this for hours.
We could.
I mean, and you and I kind of do.
We do.
And again, before we even started, I said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. We talk all the time. What am I going to talk about? And here we are, and there's so many things that I would love to continue. So, yeah, I do think you need to do one on successful partnerships, because they are out there.
They are out there.
I want to make sure. And,
Absolutely.
And because
But choosing the partner
some of the people listening,
step number one,
Right.
and it's a big step. I mean, it's a big step. But yeah, that's for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did start this with, I don't know what I'll talk about. Here we are, my 45-minute podcast, an hour and a half, hour and 27
Love
minutes.
it.
And
Love
yeah, right. And we could go longer.
Right.
And we could keep,
Oh, yeah.
keep
Wow.
rolling. Yeah. So I guess with that, let me ask, are you guys willing to come back?
yeah, of course, yeah, of course. I mean, talking about the earlier about participating and. What was the other half of that? but
Being included.
yes,
Right? Being included versus.
I mean, you called me early on this,
Yeah,
the podcast, and I got off the phone. And Roxanne's like, if that takes any time, the answer's no.
Right.
and sadly, because I'm swamped, I'm busy, I'm pulling, but I want to be included,
Right.
but I also want to participate.
But you want to participate. Yeah. You
But
don't
I
want
can
to just
only,
be
but
not
I can
left
only
out.
do so much, and so I definitely want to be back.
Right.
And yeah,
Awesome. Well, and one thing we should talk about at some point is time management, because that's I tell you, it took me a long time to be able to balance the multiple businesses, and I'm a control freak. That's probably a big shock for like 3 of you, but it's if I'm part of it, I want to run it, and you really have to understand there's a lot of good people out there.
You'd just be able to pass it off to
Right.
be able to trust somebody
Right.
to take that over for you.
But you can't pass it off just to get rid of it. You got to
Right.
pass it off to You've got to qualify that partner, right? Or that who, because even if it's an employee, they're a partner now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would consider them basically a partner then,
Right.
because they have to run it as good or as you'd want.
Right. They can't turn people away. Yeah, you can't turn people off. So yeah, I think. But time management is. Diane Gray and I had this conversation one time, and she asked me just point blank. She's like, "How do you manage all of this stuff?"
Right.
I said, "Well, I don't. I mean, that's the." I said, and she's like, "What do you mean you don't? The business are successful." I'm like, "They are successful, but I don't manage. I don't micromanage." I said, honestly, there is, when I look at my emails every day, I clean my email out every probably 2 hours in a day. And every 2 hours, there's somewhere between 50 and 75 emails in there. And I clean them out. I go through them every couple hours. If I go a day, I have a few hundred. And then it's overwhelming. right? And then I have to just make time to do it, and then and that gets in your head, right? So for me, when I look at an email, it's not that they're not all important, but they're not all important. I mean, and emails, tell me that when you clean out your email, right? I don't care if there's 10 in there or there's 100 in there. There's some that you open and read, and there's other that you just swipe them. You swipe them to the left, right? You just zip them out.
Yep.
Okay. I do that all day long with people, with I mean everything that comes along. I look at it when you're doing your email. You look at this, and if you get something that's from a vendor that you don't need right now, swipe.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then you get one from a vendor that I know I got a foosball table I got to order, and it's a vendor that's got a good deal and might have a good. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to read it. Then you got the one that's a customer saying, "Hey, my pool cue doesn't match."
Right.
That one you have to make time for,
Yeah.
and you got to read it, and you can't just glance over it. So, what are you doing when you clean out your email? You're prioritizing. Mm-hmm. And I told Diane, I said, that's what I do from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. I just every conversation, every person, and it seems very cold, and it is, but I prioritize every conversation, everything that's going on, and I swipe a lot of things to the left in a day. It's like, this is not going to help me, and it's not going to hurt me. That's how you qualify it. Bottom line, is it going to help me? If it's not going to help me, is it going to hurt me? If it's not going to do either one, swipe left. Done. Yeah. And and swiping left to me sometimes is giving it to Michael at the gun shop. I'm forward.
Right.
I'll just make a whole list and it goes that. I'll send stuff that comes from our campground. I send it to Heather. And she's like, I'm busy. I know you're busy, but you're not as busy as I am. You can deal with this one. And then there's times where it's like, well, it's going to take me 2 minutes to do it. It's going to take her 10. I'm going to deal with that. That's the way I prioritize stuff, is the amount of effort it takes. Because I've talked about this in previous podcasts too. It's if I'm good enough at something to do it in 20 minutes, but you're good enough to do it in 2 minutes, right? The only way I beat you is if I put in the 20 minutes,
right,
and you don't put in the 2.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that don't put in the effort.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to make sure that when you're swiping that to somebody, you're swiping to somebody that puts in the effort, And if I know somebody that can do my 20-minute job in 2 minutes, you're damn right. I'm sending it to them every time. And so, but yeah, that was my answer to Diane. I said, there's a lot of things I look at going, I'm not going to let this occupy my space today, period. And by doing that, have I missed some opportunities? Have I missed some red cars? Absolutely. And I hope folks have heard our red car theory in the past. I'm not going to go over it now, but we refer to that all the time. But in those cases, I see the red car, and it's like, not today, not today, Ferrari. We're just we're moving on. And so, but that's how you do it. You can't. She asked me the question as if, how do I get all of this done every day and be successful? I don't.
Right.
I don't get it all done. I don't. I prioritize it. I shuttle some out. And sometimes it's like I'm going to accuse our school board here in Sturtville. Well, we just got our referendum got beaten huge, and it should have. But it's a can they've been kicking down the road for 12 years, or quite a few years. And now their idea is we're just going to spend a whole bunch of money that we really don't have, and we're just going to put people out to just fix this, because you can fix anything with money. You can if you have enough of it.
Right.
They don't have any of it, so they want us to pay it. Well, there are times where I kick that can down the road going, this needs to get dealt with. Doesn't need to get dealt with today. It's like there's going to be a day where I'll have a little extra time, and then I'll pick that can up and I'll deal with it. But I'm going to kick that one down the road. And so, yeah, at any time I've got stuff that I just completely ignore, and I'm just never going to go back to. Stuff that I kick down the road because I'll deal with it tomorrow. And then there's stuff, Nate can deal with this. I'm just going to give it to him, And then there's the things like, shit, I better deal with this. And I'll just make time and do it. That's how you, but if you're not good at making those prioritizations,
Right.
it's going to be a lot tougher.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys, Nate, how about you? You good to come back sometime?
Yeah, it was good. And I like just hearing. You don't know if you don't ask the question. Just a natural conversation brings up topics that you don't really think about, or you discuss it with people that you don't, not in the same fields or even somewhat related, mechanic and body.
Yeah.
It was good.
Awesome. Well, folks, we're gonna sign off here. A mere hour and 38 minutes in, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feedback in the comments. Make sure they're good comments, because the bad ones I'll delete, because that's the kind of guy I am. Everybody have a great night. Thanks a lot.